Hey guys, this is Anna with Shadowwick, and I've got some videos to to up here. I got behind again, shocker. Today's or this video at least is for Witchtober's day 4, which is pumpkin. For pumpkin, I am crafting a nerdy inspiration candle. It's actually a reproduction of one that I made last year called Pumpkin King, the Pumpkin King. And it is inspired by Nightmare Before Christmas. I thought for this creation I would do a video just kind of rambling a bit about my thoughts about nerdy inspirations. When I first thought I might want to try making spiritual implements, specifically candles and incense blends. Those were the two that incense blends was where I started, and then quick after incense blends came, okay, now I need to figure out how to do candles and get that ball rolling. But I had the idea actually going to comic Convergence. It's a comic convention here in Minneapolis. And they had, in the vendor room, they had a bunch of these really cool keys. And they had all these different little beads on them that meant different things, and they connected to different comic characters and this and that. And I'm a huge nerd, so I, of course, ate that up. And it also felt kind of witchy. And as I was walking, I remember thinking, dude, I could make an incense blend that would support freedom and expression and not patriotism per se, but strength and courage. And that would be, and I could model that after Captain America, or I could make an incense blend to help ease anger and to put us more in connection with our feelings and kind of connect more to the Zen side and call that the anti-Hulk incense blend and things like that. And I remember at the time a lot of people kind of being like, oh, but that's taking, spiritual implement or spiritual crafting and kind of making it into it. Would it become a joke? No one thought it was a joke, but people that I told this to were kind of worried, like, oh, but is that making it not as serious? And how are people going to react to that? And stuff like that. And I continue to see that point because I've actually experienced people saying, well, why don't you make a candle based off of this? Why don't you make a altar key to connect to this or that? And it's something that I'm not seeing the spiritual connection. It's not too long ago, someone posted something about the movie 13 Ghosts, and I love that movie. And in that movie, they talk about the Black Zodiac, and it's these ghosts, these 13 ghosts, and these attributes for them, and what their makeup is. And I'm like, oh, I want to make a 13 Ghost collection. And I sat there, and as I sat there, I'm like, okay, am I really wanting to, am I able to connect to this spiritually? Or is this just, oh, this movie's really cool and I really like this idea and I want to do it just because I like the idea? And that's kind of where that line is drawn. Like, is this an actual spiritual creation? Or is it just fangirl fodder? And not that fangirl fodder is ever fodder, because I'm a huge fangirl and I nerd out all the time. But I think that's why so many people look at nerdy inspirations, or pop pantheons is probably a better terminology to use. People look at pop pantheons and are like, okay, well, great, you're using, Beetlejuice as this, this character, I mean, he's this character, but you're using him as like the spiritual connector, and it's like, well, he could be if you looked at it as uh, perhaps a bit of chaotic magic. Um, Seeing that sometimes things that you wouldn't normally do, sometimes you have to do, giving yourself a little bit of that permission to be a little wild and crazy, or perhaps to not care what other people think of you because you need to have this outcome come about for your own health and your own benefit. And Beetlejuice, if nothing, did not care what other people thought of him. He just had a job and this was what he had to do. And sometimes he went to extremes, and maybe that's something you could build into it too, like a way of um, filtering yourself to see those extremes before you go too far. But I think in a lot of pop culture, we can look deeper into these characters and into music and into literature and films and any art expression. We can look a little deeper into it and see what meanings it might have for us and what we could maybe learn from it. And not only learn from it, but meditate with it and help us on our journey and help us with shadow working and help us grow and become more. For instance, with the Pumpkin King, when I created that candle last year, it came from a place kind of pain and depression. I was really struggling, like super, super struggling, to find my Samhain spirit or Halloween spirit and kind of connect to the energies of autumn. It was really rough. It was my first Halloween without my Grandma Marie. And I didn't really know. I was really, that really shook me. Her passing really hit me hard. And Halloween really was a difficult time. And I remember watching Nightmare Before Christmas with my daughter one night. And she said, "You know what, Mom? It's like it's not Halloween until we watch Nightmare Before Christmas." And I'm like, well, it's not Halloween yet. She's like, "Mom, it's Halloween as soon as it is fall. As soon as it is the first day of fall, boom, Halloween." I just seeing her excitement about that and seeing her kind of wonder at the fact that it was Halloween as soon as it's autumn. What am I talking about? And just having her kind of get hit over the head with how important that movie was and how she loved the idea that there was this alternate universe where it was Halloween all the time and there was a Pumpkin King and he was this mascot and this usher of Halloweeny vibes, and even he wasn't so sure he was, happy with Halloween, but he fought through it. And Mom, maybe that's what you need to do. And so I created that candle, and in creating that candle, I really kind of started to connect again. And then one of the best things that you can do as an artist, as one that creates art that actual art that you can sell, because musicians, it's definite artistry, but I would imagine for musicians, getting up on stage is pretty phenomenal, and I don't know that that's necessarily selling art. But anyway, that's a metaphysical conversation for another day. But for what I do, at least, if that can be called art, having a candle, creating something, whenever you create something, and that something finds someone who appreciates it and who loves it and connects to it, it is the most freaking phenomenal thing I can ever explain. I'm actually kind of getting teary-eyed thinking about it. And the Pumpkin King, Stephanie, who came out to Creative Creator Space. Whew, that took me a minute. Creator Space Halloween event last year. She came and she saw the Pumpkin King handle, and we started chatting, and she ended up taking that home with her that day, and she was kind of going through similar feelings of just not connecting like normal. And it really touched me, and it still does touch me, that something I was feeling when I created that piece was able to connect to someone else in that same way, and it really meant something to them. And I think that's what pop pantheons can do. It's something that's a bit more accessible. It's not this sigil with, stars and moons and triple spirals that maybe you don't really connect to or don't understand. Maybe you don't look at traditional symbols as having that deep of a meaning, but the song Purple Rain really means something to you. So a candle that actually connects to those energies, that's going to speak to you a bit more than, a candle that connects to a certain deity. So I guess I wanted to take this Witchtober theme, since it was going to be a nerdy inspiration, and just kind of give a rundown as to what pop pantheons and nerdy inspirations mean to me, and why I connect to them and love making pieces inspired by them. So yeah, that's kind of my witchy ramble. Hope it wasn't too long and wasn't too all over the place. I know I tend to go in tangents, and one thought kind of acrobats into another, and I might not ever get back to that original thought. So hopefully I didn't talk in circles too much. But thanks you guys for tuning in, and I will post more. Thanks. Bye guys.